What's going on, guys? I want to mention very quickly, and we don't usually go full screen like this, so I just want to say really quickly, what happened on Monday night was a tragedy, tragedy, and we all have sympathy to it. I didn't want to put the guys on the spot to comment on it. If they want to at the end of the show, at any point in the show, they can do that. I just want to mention really quickly that I think we're all in agreement. Smart people are in agreement that it was a tragedy. Um, you know, People like Skip Bayless and other people will have their opinions. You can donate, you can not donate, you can care about the NFL, you cannot care about the NFL. But from a human perspective, I think it was important to pay attention on Monday. That's one of the reasons we held off our show. Now, you could have that opinion that we shouldn't have held it off, that we should have continued. I wanted to in a way, but didn't want to in another way. And ultimately, we decided to do it this way. And I didn't even want to. I didn't want to like make it a thing tonight where it's like we had to have prepared statements. I just want to be transparent. We are going to think about it, and I think anyone that says, "Oh, you shouldn't think about football," needs to look at the positive of the situation. Hanlon woke up, I think, what was it, a couple of days ago, and said, like,
yesterday?
Yeah, who won the game? Like, that was it.
And he couldn't even talk. He had the throat tube.
So
he
had to write it
first
down.
sign was already great because he woke up and was able to grab a pen that was handed to him and write down. So, like, okay, he remembers how to hold a pen.
Right.
His hand can work that way. And he remembers how to write where he can ask a question. And his question means he remembers where he was when all that happened. So, like, all three of those are great signs, just right off the bat.
Well,
when I saw that tweet from Schefter, I felt 1,000 times better because I'll admit 100%, I would not have been able to do. I was not able to do a show on Tuesday. I watched that play live. I watched multiple replays. I was not prepared to do a show on Tuesday. I would not, even if you and Donnie had, no matter what, I would not have been there. Like, transparency, I was not prepared to do that show. I needed a few days just for me. I have never seen a tragic event like that in professional sports. I've heard about it. My dad's seen men die on the field in like the 50s.
Right.
I have not seen that. I did not see the Christian Eriksen thing from the Euros a few years ago. I had not seen anything like that in professional sports. So it took me a day or two to figure things out for myself.
Well, that's part of the reason I want to be transparent and just have this open, honest conversation right now, and then we can transition in. And I think, like, you're allowed to have an emotion on Monday in the current event. You're allowed to have an emotion on Tuesday, and for it to change because of the news and because of the current events and these type of things, just like Hanlon is now asking about, did we win the game? I don't think he really cares if Roger Goodell made $2 or $2 million on the game. He's asking for more of his teammates. So that's why I was excited to get back with you guys tonight, was because you guys are my teammates. And so, like, if something happened to one of you guys, I would worry just the same as Hanlon was worried. I think that's why he asked who won the game. I think he cared about Diggs and, even the Shield as the players more than, the NFL itself. I think a lot of people are misunderstanding that as well. It's like, oh yeah, it's kind of funny he cared about the game. It's like, no, he cared about.
He's a warrior. That's what they trained themselves to be. He was with a group of men that they had practiced to do and win that game.
Yeah.
And, like, at no point in time did he expect them. That's the other weird thing. He clearly didn't expect them to not play that game. He woke up, and clearly Hamlin had the expectation.
Yeah.
They wheeled me off the field and played the game.
Hey, so did Roger Goodell, if we're being transparent. He wanted to play that game, if we're being honest.
Yeah. A lot of people wanted that game to be played. I'm not going to say I didn't still want to see that game played. If nothing else, I thought the Bills would be extremely fired up, down in that game with Cincinnati driving down the field. like that could have been the ultimate, like that could have been the kind of thing that not only turns around that game, but catapults their whole season. Now I don't know what they're going to do with it. I think they still will have sort of a really good effect on it, especially Hamlin now that he has the tube out. He was FaceTiming and calling members of the team today. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they make their run and Hamlin doesn't play, but is on the sideline for the championship game in the Super Bowl.
Well, let's kick this over to Donnie. I just want to mention that quickly. We haven't hit our peak in this podcast yet, but I believe in you guys. I believe in you guys. And I think our day is going to come where we get a lot of viewers. And so, like, I do this show as if we have a lot of viewers. I think Hanlon asked about that game because he cares about his teammates. And, you know, I was mentioning that's why I cared about that's why I kept watching Scott Van Pelt and Ryan Clark, who did a tremendous job, because I saw the camaraderie, I saw the connection, but you also see the opposite end of the connection, and that motivates me as well. And, I think people are going to process it differently. Some people wanted to donate. We saw his charity get way up there. I don't like throwing money at problems. So whenever there's a charity, even for good causes, and in a situation like that, it leaves me with an ill feeling in my stomach to do it that way. Like, I would much rather donate to his charity when he's fully healthy, or for another reason. But to me, that's just a morbid way of like doing something. But I understand that's how some people express it, just like how some people laugh at a funeral, like truly. And that's okay as well, as long as the intention is well. Donnie, what was your intentions? Or you don't even got to speak if you don't want to, but I thought you were trying to break in there earlier.
I mean, this is one of the few times I had people all week coming to me, people who weren't even sports fans, coming to me asking me, like, what have you heard about it? Because they know I'm always looking at situations like that, especially. It was with such a big stage being a Monday Night Football game. It was talked about for so long. I had my dad right next to me. We were hovered around the TV for an hour, just waiting for the news. Now we knew there was going to be no news that night, no matter what happened, most likely. But
you didn't want to miss it. It was like
right.
It was like Nightmare Before Christmas or something. Like, Christmas is supposed to be a good time for anticipation, and this was a negative time, but we were still anticipating good news. Like, no matter how much negative I had heard that night, I was like, I'm going to stay hopeful. I'm going to remain optimistic that this turns out right. That's just how I go. I tend to, you guys probably know I'm disabled. I'll say this is my closing point. And so I can't participate in sports the way Donnie or Gov or anyone else can, right? And it's always been that way. So it's always been my shell that I've always loved sports. And when you look different, when you feel different, when you are different, there's so much that can go wrong with that. Like, in terms of your stigmas and the way you look and the way you act. And, I didn't date girlfriends the same way. I didn't dance the same way. So having anything that correlates to a normal life was important. But also realizing that I can do that with teammates and, coaches and fans and fanatics and stuff of that nature. And I can do that for sports. But even with the disability, I'm never going to take the court the same way as some of the other players that I coached, but I had to embrace being that coach. And so maybe Hamlin never plays football again, but that doesn't matter. Maybe he does, but that also doesn't matter. Like, what matters is that he's okay and he uses football for a positive, and he already was with his charity. I guess that's why I didn't want to donate to it once it became negative, and the fact that, like, oh, maybe we should do this because he got injured. I just didn't want that black cloud over me, but not to say it's a rain cloud for everyone. Just to bring it back to gambling, I think that's important though too. It's like, it's more like what we do with gambling or draft games. If me and you were just betting the house every weekend, right? And we were losing our house, and we were on food stamps, and you had a drug addiction because you just got totally wrapped up in fantasy sports and just couldn't manage. That would be negative. But I've met you guys through gambling and through gaming and through so the so it's not always the intention of what we do, it's how we do it. And I thought not doing a show was the smartest move because everyone likes to have their 2 cents, but sometimes it makes no sense to have 2 cents. Sometimes you got to wait till you have $1. You got to invest, you got to save up. And I think we made the right decision by saving up and waiting till the news was positive. That's all I'll say on that. I thought it would be disingenuous not to say anything. So there you go on that. If you guys want to say something else, we can. Otherwise, we'll get into the spread picks.
Yeah, well, the one last thing I want to throw in there is, it's just another one of those reminders. Life comes at you fast. You got to tell the people that you care about them. Spend time with the people you care about. Try to be as positive as you can. It was a horrific situation. Yeah.
Also a fluky situation. Like this was not not a disease. This is not a recurring thing. This was a freak thing that could happen to anyone if they are hit in the chest at the wrong time with the right amount of force. If you're hitting the chest with the right amount of force at the exact moment your heart's going to beat, you can stop the electrical impulse and stop your heartbeat. That's what happened.
I'm glad you said it that way, Gov, because it's perfect. It really is. We can't have perfect endings. We don't know things, to Donnie's point. And so you just have to do what you can, to come on here.
Maybe you could change the shoulder pad to give you more chest protection. I don't know, but who knows what you could do for that?
Right. And then I hear people say, well, you guys didn't know who this kid was before this. It's like, yeah, we didn't, because some people weren't sports fans. Donnie talked about how transparent and translucent this situation was. There's people that didn't even care about football that care now. I don't know how that is any correlation or any reason not to care about a human life. I don't know. I just didn't like that aspect. It's like, oh, well, he's a 24-year-old undrafted, Pittsburgh kind of like Cinderella story, but you guys don't really. It was a human story at that point, and so I just want to mention it really quickly before we got into the football, because I thought if we just go into the spread picks and we don't mention it, we're doing a disservice to the human interest of a sport we love. But let's get on to what we do love, and that is connecting over competition. And so, Donnie, why don't you update the people on the competition we have going with our spread picks?
All right. So last week we had a viewer chime in with his spread pick as well. So he ended up. It's taking a second to load. It's just buffering. Okay. I thought last week was a very fun week in general, but
the end of the season can be.
It was. Yeah, this week's going to be interesting too. A lot of people fighting for a lot of different things.
Yep.
Football not even on both lines this week. Let's be honest. Not in that sense, anyway. So I think this is going to be an interesting, different week. I didn't pay much attention to football. I was paying attention to the Hamlin situation more than anything else. Right. So I'm not caught up as I want to be. But Jeff, our viewer, came in and went 1-1 with his Falcons and Raiders picks. Our lock of the week is at 6-7 now, as we went with the Vikings at +3. Last week I had the Pats and Jags. That puts me at 17-15 for the season. Gov had Panthers and Seahawks. He is up to 20, 10, and 2. And Logan is at 500 at 16 and 16 after his Denver and Saints picks.
The man is breaking even.
I
The
told you.
man is his ROI is curving in the positive.
Hey man, it's like that GPP. You don't need to. As long as hey, I don't need to finish first. I just need to make profit. And so at the end of the day, if I can get above 500, it's a victory for me. This podcast has been fun. This whole experience has been fun. That's what it's all about. As long as you can apply, a money-making venture with entertainment, I find that to be the most advantageous route for anything financially. Speaking of, we have a financial opportunity that's very rare, even though it's becoming more and more common. We do have a Saturday slate this week as well, so we will get into that. I just want to give the people a quick rundown. So we're going to kind of copy what we did last week, where we're going to give you our spread picks, and then I almost don't even want to review last week. In terms of like our normal review, we can hit on key things or important like misnomers
As they come up, yeah.
as they come up. But this week is so unique. It's like we're all wild horses, but really we're zebras. Like there are teams that are playing for stuff. There are teams that aren't playing for anything. There are teams that have been eliminated that literally are playing for a first place. Like the Texans and the Bears are probably trying to lose but win at the same time. Like losing is winning and winning is losing to them. So to review like last week in a traditional sense just doesn't make sense because this week isn't traditional. So to try to stay with a traditional format would just make no sense. But so why don't we break it open first with the pick that we all three of us agree on? I think, speaking of the Texans, it makes the most sense to go there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in the Colts at all. That's really what it is for me.
Yeah. There's actually a report today that I saw that the Colts players found out that Jeff Saturday was being hired through Twitter and stuff. So that's very strange.
Not just that, Donnie. I'd also heard that him and Jackson got into like a verbal spat that almost went physical. Like it got to the Hackett level bad. I don't know if you guys know this, like, because it was Christmas and some people just similar, for personal reasons, tuned out, when personal things happen, similar to what we did this week. But the Hackett situation, one of the reasons he got fired so late in the year, so suddenly, was because they had a fight with an offensive lineman and a backup quarterback. And apparently Saturday in Jackson, the pass catching running back for the Colts, got into it so bad that Jackson didn't hardly play. I don't even think he played after that, and he doesn't appear to be playing this week. Even though he's active, he might be a healthy scratch. Like, it's just, wheels are off there in the worst ways. I mean, I know they're Colts and they have hooves, but man, the wheels are off. It's bad. It's not good.
I just think, like, I'll take the points for Houston. It just seems like the smart pick right there.
All right. Who wants the first shot at these picks?
I'll go first. I want it. Me. Let me do it. I want to do it. Raise my hand. We're doing it. Somebody say I can do it. Tell me I can do it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna take the Bucks.
Ooh.
On the road against Atlanta +4.
I don't mind that pick. I think, especially if Brady plays the first half, it makes I
think the starters play the entire first half.
Yeah,
I think they play more than, honestly. Like, they technically have nothing to play for because they can't change their seating or do anything. But they also technically have incentives. Godwin has incentives for getting catches and yardage. They can still win and be above 500. Like, a winning record for Brady is probably really important.
historically, it is important. Like, not even to Tom Brady, in my opinion, personally, which, I mean, that guy gets motivated by the smallest of anthills. So let's not pretend it isn't important to your point, Go. But, like, historically, I think it's important to the NFL. Like, his Hall of Fame career is not going to be defined, obviously, by it, but they
But it's
definitely.
never good when a sub 500 team makes the playoffs.
Right.
For
They
whatever
definitely
reason.
want to arch it, you know. They don't want this to be his lasting memory.
Right.
Whether it's his lasting season or not doesn't matter. They don't want this to be like one of the arching moments of his career, especially after it being so outstanding.
All right, Logan, do you want the next pick or do you want to defer it to me?
What I want to do, though, Donnie, is tell the people you know my pick. Because I told you I was going to bet against this team every time they were favored this whole season, and it's really worked out for me. I remember I told you that we sweated a lot of those games because it's in my division. Every time the Packers were favored, I bet against them. It worked out like a charm. If I went against this week with them favored against the Lions with everything on the line, you know, and by the way, people say, well, you know, what if the Lions will know the outcome of Seattle's game? The Packers have actually sucked against Dan Campbell. It's like the one team that Dan Campbell has spanked. Even the one time we lost to them, we were up in Green Bay against them. Like, he does really good against Green Bay. He's had LaFleur's numbers, so I think from a coaching perspective, it matters. And then Aaron Rodgers has been disastrous this season. If he loses to the Lions, like after literally making fun of us earlier this season, like I'd have to pull up the clip, but literally he said you can't lose to those guys after he lost to us the first week. Like, he basically said it was his fault, his team's fault, and gave us no credit. If he loses to us a second time with the playoffs on the line, it's not looking good. I think they will, though. But I think all those reasons I just mentioned are exactly why the Lions are pissed off. You know, Jared Goff probably has a bigger chip on his shoulder at this point than Drew Brees does. And we hear about the Drew Brees being short, being the underdog story. And I don't even like Jared Goff that much, if I'm being transparent. But man, nobody believes in that guy like as an NFL player, even though he's had some hell of performances. I mean, I might have to eat the biggest crow of anyone if Jared Goff can actually do anything to get us in the playoffs. Even the fact that we're sniffing around like a hound dog is quite impressive, is it not? Like, I don't want to be a homer. So I think there's all kinds of motivations, even if Seattle was to win.
The Lions were my number 2 game, personally.
It's not a bad game. It should be a really good end to the regular season for a Sunday night game.
So yeah, I think that's why it's perfect, Gov, to make it a Sunday night game. I know some people really wanted Tennessee and Jacksonville.
If Seattle were to lose to the Rams, it becomes the best game of the weekend because both teams would need the win to make the playoffs.
Let's talk about that for a moment because I don't think many people have. And, you know, we went a bit long in the first segment, so we don't got to spend a lot of time on it. But I haven't heard anyone talk about it from a gambling perspective. And I don't think it's very likely, and it might have been a mock, but I do think it's kind of an interesting, kind of fun narrative. We talked about Jeff Saturday and how negative players are being in that situation. So I want to have the trajectory of positivity for this one. It was reported, now again, this could be mockery, this could be Twitter, this could be Donnie's generation at work here, but it was reported that Matthew Stafford offered to play because he wants to get the Lions in the playoffs. Now, I would say, I do think it was probably a false narrative quote, but the man built a school before he left Detroit. He still has a home in Detroit, still cares about Detroit, and does Little Caesars regional commercials for Detroit, even though they're terrible. But still does those commercials with Michigan at mind. So it wouldn't surprise me. It does sound like something Stafford would do. But even still, like, for whatever reason, Rodgers has built up a tuna fish like sandwich for the Lions every time. Like, he thinks that we're more smelly cats than good cats pretty much his whole career. So, like, there's motivation on both sides to win this game. It's personal with the Packers and the Lions. So you guys will see a good performance mainstream. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Are you ready to move on?
Well,
I am.
I was about to say, so we got pick number 2.
2, right?
This is my first pick.
Oh, yeah, Donnie, number 1. What you got?
All right, I'm going to go with the Giants at plus 14. I like the points there.
Damn it. I wanted that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have taken
I think the Giants honestly still feel like they have something to fight for. The Giants and Eagles have a nice rivalry. I don't think the Giants will just sit back and, like, let the Eagles take the 1 seed. I think they want to play to knock them out of that.
Yeah, I basically echo everything I said about Dan Campbell. I say about Dable. Like, they love Dable. They care about Dable. They're going to play hard for Dable. I don't believe that they're going to roll over for a division rival.
Especially if Hurts is out.
Well, even still, I don't care. Like, you're not going to roll over for a division rival when it matters that much. Similar to the Lions and the Packers. I'll let Gov get in there. I mean, everything I echoed about the Lions and Packers divisional matchup, it's just tenfold with the Eagles Giants.
I just see that's one of the things I love about Week 18 or the last week of the season they have now is they are basically all divisional games. So, like, these teams know each other. They are going to play a very tough game, regardless of, like, even if it's the backups against each other because both teams are tanking. They're going to play tough because it's a divisional matchup. So, like, I love these. I agree. I think the Giants are going to play them tough. I don't think Philly is at the point right now at the end of the season where they're going to be blowing everyone out. They really do need that first round bye, though, so I think they still win the game. But I don't think they win by 2 touchdowns. So I like the pick. Donnie, you want to give the second one? Let's just go back and forth. So Donnie will just go right back down.
Yeah, staying in the same area. I like Jets plus 3. Joe Flacco, I know is going to be playing, but I think Joe Flacco will, he's shown us some good games this year. He hasn't shown us anything too awful.
He's shown us that he's Joe Flacco.
Right.
He's been a game manager. I don't think the Dolphins with Skylar Thompson are going to be very impressive at all. It's kind of a homer pick because I'm rooting for my Patriots to make the playoffs, but I have to believe in Joe Flacco as a Patriots fan. So
I don't hate the pick. I like the Dolphins with Skylar Thompson. Like, it's rough because it's in Miami, but it should be a good game. Again, divisional game. Logan, what do you got for your second pick?
I got a question for you, Gov, and I think this will correlate very well to lineup building, which we're going to do very soon. And just like how seasons can change as we're getting closer to the end of this season, right? But at the beginning of the season, this team was really hot. When is the last time, and Donnie can answer too if he wants, when is the last time the Seahawks were good? Like that, you believe that they were a good team this year? I'm taking the Rams. I think the magic is off the Seahawks. I think they've been exposed. I mean,
points on that?
What's that, Donnie?
What's the points on that?
I have no idea. That's how confident I am. I'm gonna look it up right now.
The Rams are plus 6.5.
Yep. And I'll take 6. Let's not even do the half. I'm going to tell you how brazen I am. They're going to win. I don't need the half point. I do want the points, but I won't even take the half point.
All right, Rams plus 6. That's not. I mean, it's not a horrible bet.
Well,
Now, my counter to that would be Seattle's lull here that they've had in the last few weeks has sort of come due to injury, with Lockett not playing, Disley going on IR, Walker being hurt. Like, they've sort of started to feel the fatigue of the season, and that's shown that they don't have the depth to be a real good team. But their top-end stuff, Metcalf, Lockett, Geno, is Walker, very solid offensively. Their defense is not bottom of the league, so they can get you by.
I don't know. Maybe it's bias. And
if they can be a little bit healthy, I think they're better than that you give them. But I don't think they're fully healthy right now. They just don't have the depth to be able to go into the playoffs fully healthy.
Yeah, and I don't hate this player, but it drove me nuts after like week 5 how people wanted to give Geno Smith like comeback player of the year and like announce him as some kind of like.
Yeah, he wasn't quite there stat wise. He was just playing well and solidly.
It's not
like I'm not sure I give it to him there. Like, he has to do that an entire season where he's just solid and shit. And then now it's like Chad Pennington with the Dolphins. Okay, now I'll give him comeback player of the year.
And it's like, I'm not even saying
now he comes out. Now, if he comes out against the Rams and wins and gets himself in the playoffs and throws like 350 yards and multiple touchdowns, now maybe you have something.
Oh, he's not even bad, Gub. I'm not saying that. I'm saying what happened was people overvalued his comeback story. Like, we acted like he was Cinderella when he was Geno Smith all day long. It wasn't
I agree. I agree. He has to still do some things that I wouldn't expect from Geno before I would give him anything extra. Mm-hmm. But I do think he's in place to do it.
Yeah. I cheer for him. He's Geno Smith. But people were trying to make it like he was the belle of the ball all of a sudden. It's like, no, he's not Cinderella, but he's also not like Groundhog Day. Like he is what he is at this point. He's Joe Flacco. Like, we know what he is. He's pretty good. He's not great. Like, he's serviceable.
Yep.
Speaking of service, Donnie, what do you got?
Well, this is Gub's picks.
It's Gub's
last pick, and then we're done.
Okay. Well, then I'll roll us right into what we're going to be doing, because my last pick, I'm going to take a home dog to cover 9.5 plus 9.5 on the Las Vegas Raiders.
I really like this one.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of popping in my stuff right now.
This was my game. This was my 4th game. It was just behind the Jets.
Like, Kansas City needs to win, and them winning will help settle a lot of things with the Bills-Cincinnati game not being played. So, like, I do think Kansas City wins. But, again, it's a divisional game. I think with what Vegas has shown me from last week, with what Stidham's going to do, I think they're going to try to stay competitive as much as possible.
I don't do this very often, but I will take a goddamn victory lap on this one. I told you guys Stidham was a great play this week. And Donnie, you laughed at me. Now, it was some Patriot bias there, right? Like, we can admit he probably wasn't as good as I thought he was, but he's not as bad as you thought he was either last week. Like, he's somewhere in the middle.
I think he's a backup quarterback, a middle tier backup quarterback still. He had a good game.
Interesting.
He did. He has weapons. That offense is capable. That's why we liked Derek Carr at the start of the year.
Interesting. See, I think
I'd have to see it multiple weeks, Logan.
Yeah, I know that. Like, I'm not saying he's a starter next year. I'm saying he's probably one of the best backups in the league next year. Like, I still think he has that. Like,
I mean, he's done enough. He's got a job in this league for a couple of years, whether it's as a backup or a low-end team that wants to try him out. Like, let's say Houston doesn't get their quarterback but likes their draft. Maybe they kick the tires on Stidham, starting over Mills.
Right. That's all I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. And I just had to take one quick victory lap. Again, it's not a fast victory lap. I'm still disabled. I'm still in a wheelchair, so bear with me. This thing only goes 6 miles per hour, but I'm still going to take my victory lap. Go ahead. We can transition now and into whatever. I'll give you the first pick. I think you had somebody in mind. Go. Did you not for the lineup?
Well, I did want to talk. Like, if we're going to start with the 2-gamer, this is a slightly rare event because we've had these 3-game slates with Thanksgiving and some of the Saturday slates recently.
Yep.
But a 2-gamer is even more condensed. It's a little tougher. So, what I think the smartest thing to do is to core this lineup with the right team. Because, like, in this game, we need to find that team that we can get the fantasy points from.
Can it be Team PMR? Because I'm a big fan. I think that always goes under own. People always want to play that first game. They want to see the green.
Oh, yeah, I do think Kansas City and Vegas will be the higher owned game. I agree with you on that.
Yep.
And I also would kind of prefer to play Trevor Lawrence.
Donnie, what do you think about that? Like, I just think the marquee names are like everyone's going to want to play Adams and Mahomes.
And it doesn't mean we can't play Adams or Jacobs or Mahomes or Kelsey. It just means I want to focus our build here on a Tennessee Jacksonville game stack first.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
I thought one of us would push back, but I'm in total agreement.
And I think we're going to stack Lawrence, right? I don't think anyone wants to stack Tennessee, right?
I think Lawrence is the best quarterback for this week, honestly. On this specific slate of games.
Kelsey, I mean, Mahomes is good, dude. Like, it's hard to say. But, like, even salary adjusted, it's hard to say Mahomes isn't the best play on a 2-gamer.
Hold on, though.
But Lawrence is. I do think I'd like to go Lawrence.
I want to challenge you guys on this because I made this argument and people laughed at me a couple weeks ago. I think Trevor Lawrence is better than Justin Herbert. So I've always been a fan of Trevor. I think Trevor Lawrence is generational. And the fact that you can get him at $6,100.
I think he can be better than Justin Herbert. I wouldn't go that far yet. Herbert has the experience and he has the higher ceiling right now at what he can physically do in a game. But I think Lawrence definitely has the potential to be better.
Obviously, I think he has the potential. I'm saying, Donnie, I think he is better. I'll put the stamp of approval on it right now. I think he is better currently. And that's how high I think Trevor Lawrence's ceiling is. Because I don't think Justin Fields has a low floor either. I think both of them are taking the elevator. I think Trevor Lawrence can just go higher. That's all.
Well, Herbert is... My thing is Herbert doesn't have that coach, the right coach yet. I really believe that he just doesn't have the right coach. And if he got the right coach, it would look a lot better.
This quarterback game, we talked about Stidham and we talked about Mahomes on this slate, so I might as well just say it. These young cats at quarterback, it's going to be a fun NFL. The NFL is in good shape. Tom Brady could retire tomorrow, 2 weeks, 12 years. It doesn't matter. The NFL is in good shape.
Oh, yeah.
Where else do we want to go? Speaking of shape.
Well, like I said, I think we need to game stack this like completely. So let's Lawrence. How do we want? Like, I wouldn't mind going the full Jacksonville stack. So give me the running back and give me 2 pass catchers.
I know you wouldn't, but here's the thing. I love Trevor Lawrence. I don't love all of his weapons. So why don't I name the 2 guys that I love from this offense, and then you guys tell me if you agree with those guys, and then I'll let you guys battle the third one out. If we do.
Can I take a guess at what it's going to be?
It's Evan. It's Evan Ingram and Travis Etienne.
That's what I would go with as well. Honestly.
I'm absolutely fine with that. Yeah.
I don't want Christian Kirk because I think they might try and rest him a little bit if they get ahead.
I think the safest wide receiver is probably Marvin Jones.
I would agree.
Like I agree. Like I think if they get ahead, Kirk and maybe even Zay would rest, which means Marvin Jones and Jamal Agnew and Tim Jones would get the run. And I just don't think you can rely on like an Agnew or a Tim Jones. But Marvin's already the third wide receiver getting run. And I think he would just be the most, like, if you were to put another receiver in here, I think it's Marvin Jones.
Gov, are you ready? I'm going to tee you up on the driving range. Ready? Why normally do you not want to pair your running back and your quarterback?
Normally, I'm not pairing my running back and my quarterback because the likelihood of both of them going off to have a big enough value together when they negatively correlate, because rushing touchdowns do not put points to the quarterback and passing touchdowns do not give points to the running back. So they are negatively correlated positions. So for both of them to go off takes a really weird game environment. And in large slates, I really don't like doing that because there's usually a better ceiling play with better correlation that I can have. Or even if these guys negatively correlate, why not just take two guys in the same price range that don't negatively correlate with each other and could maybe go off? They just happen to be from different games. But this is a 2-game slate. So, like, it's the same thing like on this 3-game slate. Even if he's not getting the passing work, I'll put Dalvin Cook in a lineup with Kirk Cousins. I'll put Zeke in a lineup with Dak. Like, I have no problem doing that in the smaller slates, just because what I'm trying to do now is I think the Jacksonville team has a high point potential. So I just want I want to capture as many of the points on this roster as possible. And if we have Lawrence and ETN, that should cover all passing and all rushing touchdowns. So then it's just, can we correlate the receiving end of the passing touchdowns?
Well, I got a player I want from the Kansas City game.
Yeah, go ahead and give it to me.
Kadarius Toney. I think if this game is a blowout, he'll probably still get a decent chunk of run. They like to get him some plays. Generally, I know his target share has gone down a little bit, but I think this is going to be an interesting situation for Toney where he could possibly have a bigger game for his standpoint.
I was going to recommend we go with Hardman. You went with Toney, very similar player. Hardman hasn't been activated yet, I believe, Gov, but it's a similar play if we went with Toney. Sky Moore is officially out. Now, Sky Moore hasn't been good. Sky Moore hasn't lived up to the potential, but he was on the field a ton. And now that he's officially out, he will not see the field this week. Somebody's going to see the field. Donnie wanted to go with Toney. I would have went with Hardman. What do you think about the play in general? Like, I do think it's kind of cool that we're going to take a game that everyone loves, a team that everyone loves, and we're going to play a very unique version of it.
Sorry about that. I had to turn off for a sec. Okay, so let's see where we're at.
No, I was just saying, so Donnie wanted to play Toney. We know Sky Moore is out. He's officially out. Now, he hasn't been good, but he's been on the field a ton. I would have played Hardman, but I do love the concept of Toney because we're taking a very popular game, the most popular team, and we're playing the most unique version of it with a high upside.
I agree with that, yeah. I like the Toney play because, like, I want a piece of, like...
I wanted a piece of it. I would have taken Hardman. I think if Hardman's ruled out, I love Toney. I still like Toney because Toney's been there.
Yeah, but if Hardman's in, I would go down to Hardman because I think he would get the run back in this last week just to try to, like, ease him back in.
What do you think about that, Donnie? Would you go with Hardman if he's activated, or would you
I
stay with
still,
Tony?
I would stick with Tony. I think just because I don't know how much they'd play a guy who hasn't played in a while.
Fair enough.
You know,
We did say we were going to do the draft strategy, so this is your pick. You can change it at the end of the lineup, or if you do change your mind with inactives. But I'll I'm perfectly fine with you standing by it. I don't think it's a bad play. I do tend to agree with Gov, though. I would probably just want to see what Hardman has. But on the opposite end of that, to challenge myself, maybe they're like, no, we already know what we have in Hardman. We want to save that for the playoffs because we're talking about a speedster. If he re-aggravates anything or favors something because something else was injured and he tweaks a hamstring, then it could be worse. So I don't mind the play. The concept of the play makes a lot of sense. So with my pick,
well, isn't it back to me because I?
I haven't made a pick. So
You got made. Well, we all agreed on that at the end.
I was about to say we all sort of agreed on like stacking Jacksonville. So from that point, it's just who do you guys like to stack with?
I view the quarterback as kind of like our one talking point, and then after that, we were going to make 1-for-1 selections.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, let me just do this. To be fair, since we didn't talk about this before, let me just take Evan Ingram. We talked about double stacking. I'm pretty sure we were going to do that anyways. He's honestly my favorite play outside. Even as a wide receiver, he's my favorite play. We're going to play some Evan Ingram in this lineup.
Yep. Fine with that.
So let's go back to Donnie then. Let's go reverse order. Go back to Donnie and then go for go last.
All right.
Sounds good.
I think I'm gonna press you guys a bit and just throw Adams in there.
Okay. Let me just do this then. Let me go. I'll pick the two pieces that no one's going to play from Kansas City that I think are good plays. If Hardman doesn't play out, I'll make the switch. I'm probably the most available to make the switch because I'm the crazy guy who actually has control of the line. So it makes most sense for me to take the higher risk guy to switch to in the draft. Go ahead, Griff. You got all the money in the world now, buddy.
Give me 1 second. I'm looking.
I'm allowing you to go.
Hold on. Hold your fucking horses, man.
Hey man,
I'm looking at something that.
Hey,
I'm looking at something crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, well, I don't gotta hold my horse as wild horse. It's a Saturday slate, like Jeff Saturday. We're actually gonna win on Saturday, unlike Jeff Saturday. So we don't gotta hold our horses.
Oh God, I'm okay. I'm gonna shoehorn us into something. Screw it. Screw it. I've already built the lineup on my screen, so I know what we have to do.
Okay, Dr. Charles, let's do it.
Jacobs.
No, Donnie loves his pick because it's his boy McDaniel.
Oh, we're gonna go with both of the Vegas. We're just gonna take all the points from Vegas. So we get Lawrence and Etienne and Ingram. We should get all the points from Jacksonville. We're going to hit Adams and Jacobs. We should get all the points from Vegas. We're going to have the cheap guys on Kansas City on the other side. That leaves us 4,400 for a flex and a defense. I already know what to do.
What is the cheapest defense? Just
the Raiders at 2,200.
Good thing it's not your pick. It's mine.
I was just curious.
But let's see. So let's lock it in.
I see two choices in my mind, depending on which defense you do.
Let's talk it through. So if we went with the cheapest, we're looking at Pacheco, Smith-Schuster, Zay Jones.
McKinnon would be my pick. And just full on, we won't have the quarterback. But again, it's just 2 games. So like McKinnon and the cheap receivers should cover everything that doesn't go through Kelsey on the Kansas City side, along with having Jacobs and Adams to cover everything on the Vegas side, along with the defense just in case Mahomes just something stupid, which it would help with my pick because the Raiders defense would be better if it's not a total blowout. And then like we have our full Jacksonville game stack. The only thing that this lineup would basically be saying at that point is Tennessee ain't going to do nothing. Which I can see that. Like I can totally see Tennessee. Like this is the last game of the year they need to try, but it's usually Henry that destroys Jacksonville.
Which is why I'm going to go Robert Woods. Traylon Burks is questionable. He looked good at times, but very NFL bipolar. Like he's looked very good at times in terms of flashy plays, but then really bad. He reminds me of Brian Edwards, who actually plays in this slate because he now plays for Kansas City. But remember, Edwards would come up with like big plays, but then like he would drop the routine stuff. That's what Traylon Burks reminds me of. Similar to the Patriots receiver, you guys had Brandon Lloyd, Donnie, as well. Like makes spectacular catches, and you're like, why can't he be consistent? That's what I think of Traylon Burks. So I want the consistency. We're probably going to see, what's his name? Dobbs? Wow. Joshua Dobbs, yeah. I got the Packers-Lions game in my head. That's the only game I have focused on this week. So I was thinking Romeo, but it's Joshua Dobbs. I think with an extra week, he's going to go to the veteran receiver. I want to mention really quickly, we do see veteran receivers usually break off. This week we saw Russell Gage was like the top receiver last year in week 18. Danny Amendola. Like usually it's the slot veteran receivers in week 18 that just go crazy. I'm going to play that narrative. We're going to go Robert Woods with Burks injured and the veteran quarterback looking for him.
Can we throw the Jags defense in at this point?
We can play any defense you want, and it makes sense to be the most expensive one.
Yep.
Because basically this line.
And then you have money to move around and go up if we have a Tony Hardman thing going on.
Right. Let's just, because I might make that decision last minute on Saturday, let me just tell you what I would do for the people.
Well, I really like Zay Jones.
I was about to say, I probably just go for the correlation double stack and take Zay.
Yeah, for me, it would be Zay Jones or Marvin Jones. Like, I'm taking one of the Joneses. We're Jonesing for punishment at that point. We're taking one of the Joneses.
Yep. Hell, Tim Jones right down there at 3K is fine. But yeah, you're probably playing a Jones at that point.
I mean, you might as well. I mean, I would rather play.
You could also get a running back. I don't know if you'd be interested in that.
I would, but I feel like we have like the pass catch. Like, I don't know. I feel like Jacobs is going to catch like 2 touchdowns this week.
Yeah, the weird thing is, like, Jacobs is either going to get his workload and they're going to let him try to have the rushing record on his contract year, or they're going to give him like 8 to 12 carries and try to use Zamir White a lot this year to see what they got out of him.
Right.
See what happens when Zamir White gets 15 to 20 touches.
Donnie, that's why, or not Donnie. Well, I mean, Donnie is fine because he didn't make the Josh Jacobs. But that's why I like it, because I think a lot of people are going to have that mindset go where it's like, well, if Josh Jacobs doesn't get that, I'm just going to play White, right? But Amir Abdullah has been the guy for Jacobs all season. So, like, even if they wanted to rest Jacobs, I wouldn't feel totally comfortable going with White because of Amir Abdullah, because it is McDaniels. And he might just decide, I'm going to play Bolden, or I'm going to play my fullback, or, you know, I'm going to draft a practice squad guy that you guys have never heard of and run him. Like, he just has that Bill Belichick Joker mentality when it comes to the rushing game sometimes. if you're not playing the lead dog, you're not playing anyone from this backfield, in my opinion. Are we ready to get on to the next lineup?
I am, yes.
Let me put Hardman back in here and lock it up. All right. So let me go. I should have done. I'll do it this way. I meant to do it this way. I wanted to do it this way. I'm gonna give us one of the 3 entry maxes because I just think we've been building really good lineups. Of course, I have 18 like showdown lineups, and I had to pick one of those lineups. But ultimately, do you guys have any lean at quarterback? We can start that conversation while I pull up a lineup here. I know that Donnie probably doesn't know pricing, but Jeff probably has a good idea.
Haven't even looked.
I mean, I would want a quarterback in a game that matters. Probably Goff, honestly. That's where I would probably lean.
You can't go Golf because he's on the
Sunday night game.
Sunday night. Oh. Always forget about that.
One of these are random. You guys can get a sneak peek of my lineups.
Could I convince you in some Danny Dimes?
No, they're not playing for anything.
Well, they could be playing against, just playing hard against Philly.
Yeah, I don't like it. You just said you wanted to play somebody that was getting mad.
But to me, that game matters to them.
How about we go with Brock Purdy? San Fran could still be playing for a shot at the 2nd seed. Purdy could still be playing for his ability to be playing as the quarterback over Garoppolo in the playoffs.
I like that. He's had multiple touchdown games almost every week.
Yep. I know. I trust his weapons, so we'd be able to stack him. Like, it's cheap. It could work.
I don't even know how to spell the guy's name. I haven't even played him all year.
Brock, B-R-O.
Is it Brock?
Yeah, like Brock.
I must have heard it mispronounced. I thought it was Brooke Purdy.
Oh, Brock.
Like, I thought I had a U before the R. I thought it was pronounced strangely. So that tells you how often I played this guy. He's been good, and a lot of people I think are going to pay down, and they're going to go to like Sam Howell's or Ellinger's or Skylar Thompson. So if you're going to pay down, if we can't go with Jared Goff and somebody more consistent, you might as well take the chance on the low own guy that has.
If we go Purdy, doesn't it make sense to just stack him with McCaffrey?
No.
Oh yeah.
But I did hear that they might be saving McCaffrey's legs for the playoffs.
Wait, McCaffrey's off the injury report. I like it. I thought he was still on the injury report.
Yep, they said they were going to save his stuff last week when they were in that weird game with fucking Vegas. He ends up getting, 9? I'm trying to look. Like, I think he... I'm just looking. He currently has...
Okay.
Just over 1,000 yards rushing and just over 700 yards receiving. Or he's actually, right at 1,100 yards. So he's currently at 1,800 total yards. I wouldn't be surprised if you try to get him 2,000 total yards on the season.
Can I have the next pick?
Yeah. Go for it.
Thank you. This is easy. Hopkins is out. It correlates.
Dortch, done, ding.
It won Gov a lot of money. So we got that burning desire, that motivation go for you. He's going to do it one more time for you. He only caught 3 passes last week, Donnie. But do you know how many targets he got?
How many?
10.
He got 11 the week before that. And that was with Hopkins in the game. Now Hopkins is out of the game, not going to play, already ruled out. And they're playing David Blau, who I have a lot of familiarity with. He has a weaker arm than Kellen Moore, very accurate, but loves to check down guys because that's really all you can do in the NFL. And I just think this is a misprice. It's a PMR. It correlates. It's a perfect Logan selection.
Okay, I have a game that I want a piece of. Just one.
Hold on. You took Christian McCaffrey. Let Doug
Okay.
get in there with his next pick, and then we'll go back to you, Don.
Oh, I'm gonna finish this out
Okay.
because I want the double stack.
Okay. Kittle. Samuel is still out, I believe.
Actually, Debo might be back this week, but I do just love attacking Arizona with tight ends. So like,
yeah, I love it if he quote unquote plays, because I don't think he would play.
Oh wait, no. I almost forgot. It's incentive week. You need the guys with incentives. Ayuk is 64 yards away from a 1,000-yard season.
So you want
we're doing Ayuk over Kittle.
That's
I know Kittle's cheap. Well, is Ayuk? Wait, how much is Brandon Ayuk?
68.
Good Lord, I didn't realize he was $800 more than Debo and Kittle. Good God. Still going Ayuk. Yeah, still going Ayuk.
I think that's smart. He's still under 7K. You're right. Incentives do matter. We're already stacking this game.
Yep.
Okay. How much cheap guys are on your list, boys? Do we got a lot of value?
Go ahead.
Because I want to press us here.
Yep. Go ahead.
Jam in Diggs.
We can do it. Can I just play all the cheap guys, Gov? Or do you want to go next?
You can jam in your cheap guy after you jam in the Jets defense.
You know who it is. I talked about it earlier.
Well, I know. I just want to say I love the Jets defense at 2,600. I think they're my favorite cheap defense. So
I love
jam them in, put in your cheap guy, and then we'll see
where we're at. Gov, tell people why this is my cheap guy.
Who? Williams from Washington. Has Robinson been ruled out or something that I forgot?
He has.
Okay, so there's no Robinson, and
no Gibson. Gibson's on the IR.
Yeah, so there's Ron Rivera in a team that's probably going to want to run the ball, and there's your number one running back.
Yeah.
Boom.
The only other guy is a rookie who's never really seen any opportunities, and this might be the week he blows up because it's week 18, and who the hell knows. But Chet Patterson is the other guy who has more of a pass-catching kind of like theoretic specialist role. Williams was the running back for the Colts. He is the thumping back. He is the goal line back. And I think Washington, I don't know. I just think Ron Rivera would love to stick it to Doughboy with Mike McCarthy and needle him one last time. I think both coaches suck. I don't know that they're going to get very many more matchups together. So I do think this game matters in a weird way. Go ahead, Donnie. What do you got, man? You said you were going to load up on.
Well, no, I just said I just wanted a piece of that game.
Fair enough.
So I'm just going to do what I also agree with Gov there. I didn't know the pricing. I like the Jets defense as well. I don't think Skylar Thompson's very good.
No.
And I picked the Jets to win anyway. So
I was going to go with the Jets until I saw the Vikings for $300 more. And so I'm going Vikings or Jets in all my lineups. I'll say that. The Vikings are playing against what's his name? Peterman. I'm taking the Jets this week.
Oh, maybe that's can we afford to make that switch?
I don't know. We'll see if you want to. But the Jets are a good play regardless. I mean, they're playing Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, but Peterman's Peterman, man. I forgot that Peterman was playing.
It is true. Well, I do think a lot of people are going to forget things. Gov, what are we forgetting about this lineup that you want to get in? I'll let you flex your muscle, pun intended. Or you can play tight end. That's fine too.
Well, I'm looking at the salary we have left. I'm like,
I got one if we need one. I got a cheap guy.
Who do you? Well, let's see. Williams, Dortch.
He shares the same name as me.
Logan. What? What? What
I
cheap
know who
Logan
it
is
is.
there?
Logan Thomas. So.
Oh yeah, the Washington tight end. Yeah, redacted. There we go.
So 6 targets 2 weeks ago, 8 targets this week. Playing with a rookie quarterback in Sam Hall. Rookie quarterbacks usually target tight ends only at 3K.
I really like that.
But this is Gus' selection, so if he wants Kittle here, if he wants a tight end, it will go there. But I do have options at flex if you want
Trying
to
to think,
for
who
me.
would be my favorite tight end on the week? I mean, I know
We could go.
I know a guy who was getting 7, 9, 8 targets back when this quarterback was playing earlier in the year, who's still kind of cheap, and he correlates with
Woods.
something in our lineup. No. Tyler Conklin at tight end.
I don't mind that either.
He was getting plenty of targets from Flacco.
Tyler. Do you want Tyler or do you want the flex?
I'll take the tight end. Let's go Conklin, 3,600. And then you can fit our mid-range flex guy.
Oh. Almost enough for Jerry Judy, but not quite.
Just quite enough if you wanted Kittle or Debo. Let's see.
You can get Mostert in a game that matters.
Yeah, we're playing the defense and that on it. I wouldn't do that.
Samuel, if he plays, is interesting. McLaurin, the best Washington weapon. A lot of good choices here.
Yeah, there's not that.
Garrett Wilson.
There we go. Just full on stack the Jets.
The reason why is him and Walker are basically the only offensive rookie of the year candidates I think that are viable. And Walker is playing for Seattle. If they make the playoffs, he's going to win it. If they were to lose, I think they're going to make that selection based on stats. And Mike White absolutely loves Wilson. So, and now that we see Mike White back, no one's going to play the correlation.
Mike White's out, so.
Is he?
Yeah, it's Joe Flacco confirms he's starting.
Okay, that's even better because everyone knows the White stat. I just gave it to you. I think, what was the week that Flacco played with Wilson?
It was the start of the year.
Yeah, he played like the first 3 weeks.
Okay, the targets were still good. 8, 14, 11.
That's why I went with Conklin. They were back up like 7, 8, 9 with.
Right. I like going heavy though on one game. Well, no, you went with Conklin though, didn't you? I don't like that. I don't trust Joe Flacco enough. Well, let me get him out of there. I do like both players. I don't trust Joe Flacco that much.
Mari Cooper at Pittsburgh.
No, we're
Miles Sanders against the Giants.
Hawkinson with all those targets?
I don't mind the 2 tight ends. I was thinking about Kittle. But Samuel is playing. Gov is right about that. It gets me off of. If Samuel was out, it would be Kittle. I don't. What does the incentive say, Gov? Is there anyone here that we're missing incentive wise? Do you think?
I
mean, just off the top of your head, I almost didn't like. If you want to look
right now.
Oh, I got it. Right here it is. Houston's terrible against the run. They don't want Jackson. I'm going Zach Moss.
Can we move up to the Vikings defense then?
Yeah, we go up to the Vikings at that point. Yeah.
That was Donnie's pick. I'll let him decide.
Yeah, let's make the change there.
Go to the yeah.
Yep. No, I don't hate that at all.
I like the Moss play that I'm glad I saw it because I just think he's the goal line guy. We're playing big goal line. Funny enough, we're playing the former Colt, a Colt. Like this is week 18, boys. This is week 18. Playing a former Colt, a Colt, and Brock Purdy, who was drafted in the 6th round. So this is week 18. Here's our lineup. It might just win. It might just win. By the way, Joe Flacco did win somebody in Millie. That could also win this week. That's what kind of week it is. I don't want to keep the guys.
Who knows? Maybe Skylar Thompson goes off too.
I mean, dude, it's a fun week though. It really is. So I don't want to keep you. We did go a little bit longer with our more serious topic in the beginning. Is there anything fun? Any missing link? Any kind of thing that we're missing that you want to get out to the people?
I am set.
I think so too. I thought we did pretty well at getting through some serious topics today, but we're just over an hour. I think this is perfect. You good?
I feel good. I feel better than I have this week, and I am ready to go into this weekend.
I do too, man. I'm kind of glad it's week 18 and we're gonna see a lot of unknowns because Monday was unknown for a negative. And so I just hope, man, to close shop, to come full circle. I just want the underdog stories. I want the Cinderella stories. I want maybe even David Blau and his wife, who is an Olympic runner. Maybe he just has 6 touchdowns or something totally nutty and gets himself an XFL contract, or, PJ Walker comes into the game at halftime and throws, I don't know, 7 touchdowns. I just want nutty, good Cinderella stories. That's what I'm cheering for this Sunday. I guess that's a good one, Donnie. What's the one super positive, fun story you would want to cheer for this weekend? For me, it's the Cinderella story. I just want that.
Oh, I want the Lions in the playoffs. I don't care how it happens. I just want them in the playoffs.
Do you guys want me to be honest? I will cry if the Lions make the playoffs. I will, because I broke up with my girlfriend about a year ago, and the last time she watched a game with me, and she doesn't watch games with me, was when the Lions made the playoffs. That was when she actually cared. She made it a big deal. We don't make the playoffs that often. I'm in the best financial situation I've ever been. I just moved into a new place. A lot of new things are happening. So it'd be the perfect amalgamation of what used to be versus what is now. And so it would just be magical for me. Go ahead, go. What's your feel good story? I'm putting you on the spot, I guess, a little bit. But what's the one thing you hope to see this week?
Yeah, put me on the spot a little bit.
I probably shouldn't go negative, but if something bad, no, never mind.
No, I was about to say, I'm just trying to think.
I almost canceled the show, but I'll skip that topic for now, but I'm watching.
The only thing I'd like to see this week is some good football played. I don't want to see a bunch of teams just trotting out bad football because it's the last game.
Right.
I'll say that.
So are you saying you don't want the excuse? If we see bad football, do you want to hold that team accountable? Let's say the Colts just give up. They've looked bad, but let's say
it just looks like they're completely crap and they start, No, I don't want to see that. I want them to try to be competitive against Houston.
Right.
I don't think they're going to win that game, but I don't want them coming in with just lost.
And if they are, then we need to hold those people accountable the same way. I think that's what you're saying, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you want the circus kind of fun stories, but you don't want it to become at the detriment of professional football. I get it. That makes perfect sense to me. All right, guys. I agree with all these guys' sentiments. Thank you for the beginning of the show. I felt like being transparent about it was the best way to handle it, so I didn't give these guys a heads up. I thought tonight's show was poignant. I thought it was different, and I embrace uniqueness. So thanks, guys, for joining me. Have a good night. Be safe, as always. Take care. Bet smart.
Enjoy football this weekend. For anybody who's hoping their teams make the playoffs, good luck.
I told you I would try. What more do you want from me, Johnny? I don't know how else to. I mean, it's gonna be magical. Good night, guys.
Everyone stay safe, have fun, be responsible.